All right, today we have reached a period and in time where I think Ethereum has met a very interesting place in its rise to fame. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back to TechPath. Today we're going to jump into Ethereum and the idea of some very special indicators that are starting to show up where Ethereum is moving in its rise to potentially another all-time high. Let's jump over to CoinMarketCap and take a look at where we are, obviously here on market cap at 2.2 trillion. Interesting dominance though, Bitcoin holding at 42%, ETH right at 19.9, up again. This is going to be an interesting thing to watch in terms of how the dominance levels really start to shift through this bull run. And taking a look at Ethereum right now, obviously trading at 37.79. We've seen it bumping into the $4,000 mark over the past couple of days, and it's starting to look very interesting in terms of both the money flow that's starting to move into Ethereum and has caused what we've seen, but also the sentiment. And with the sentiment, I want to jump into Trade the Chain to kind of show you the drivers of what's happening. Here at 37.58, we've got the 1 day and then of course the 7 day. This is the one that's kind of interesting here, where we saw this sideways action early in the week here on August 27th, right here into its low, which was really right here on August 30th at around 31.75, and then our movement fast, which drove that sentiment to an all-time high that we've seen in the last couple of weeks at least, and then also its price action starting to drive through the sentiment line right here. This occurred right here on September 1st, where it started to break through the sentiment line. It is now outperforming price action, now outperforming sentiment. This is the thing when you look at sentiment and how that potentially can affect price action. Many cases you want to have leading indicators, and some of the things that we look at when we look at leading indicators are the fact that we try to understand where the price action is coming from in terms of the sentiment across social media. And that's kind of what's happening. If you look at the activity around Ethereum in terms of who's making plays, what's happening, obviously all of this is moving from the EIP 1559 and the London hard fork, which recently occurred, and it's moved toward getting to ETH 2.0. But when you look at the things that people are saying, and this one right here, ex-Goldman hedge fund exec predicts Bitcoin will reach the 250 to 400. Ethereum will surpass 20,000 by March. And again, this is also being talked about a lot by Raoul Pal, who I would say right now it may be the #1 maximalist on Ethereum in the world in terms of his positioning, and I'll show you why. But if you look at where some of this action is going right here, just to talk about what Raoul did, he had basically shifted his portfolio to 100% crypto. This was back in since November of last year, and then exited his gold holdings, which previously made up about 25% of his portfolio. Then the remaining 75% of his portfolio, which was 80 to 85% Bitcoin, 15% in ETH, he also dramatically changed, and now recently has started to move to kind of this compromise of 55% Ether, 25% Bitcoin, and then a basket of tokens on the DeFi exchanges and protocols, as he really kind of rounds out his position. His transition to the holding more though drives from his belief that Ethereum is the greatest trade right now. From a macro perspective, if you've not listened to Raoul Pal talk about this topic, you should probably start doing some research on that. From time to time, we'll do these market movers too. The market movers are pretty straightforward. The idea with a market mover is we'll put together this research, we'll give you guys some data to kind of follow that up, and then of course hopefully send you in the right direction. It's not investment advice. Hopefully it does put you in the direction you need to get moving on your next investment or crypto trade. And as you guys know, here on TechPath, obviously we talk a lot about blockchain, but we go into a lot of other technology as well. Make sure and subscribe and like the video. I want to jump to this next story though over on FX Street. And this was really kind of looking at the Bitcoin price, but also the Ethereum price. Bitcoin price arrives at 50K. It's a psychological level. We all know that Bitcoin has been moving again here in the last couple of days. We are seeing a little bit of a decisive 12-hour candlestick, which closed above 51,483, will likely trigger a lot of propelled movement up to around 56K is what people are looking for in Bitcoin in terms of retesting its all-time high. So I definitely would somewhat agree with this. I am watching it very closely with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is it's in a very precarious situation right now. There's so much pushback at that 50K level. And I think being able to really crack into there and move into that next layer of resistance is going to be critical for Bitcoin to really start to accelerate. We may see, as many analysts are looking to now, a little bit of a retracement, even though we may break through the 50K mark. Back to Ethereum. Price experienced exponential gains. Ethereum's price stayed low for almost a month. You guys all know this. We were kind of hovering around that $3,000 mark, just under the 3,000, which of course was breached on August 7th. The consolidation, though, was pretty well set up, I think, for a lot of people to re-enter Ethereum, much like I did. In my own investment portfolio, Ethereum became, I wouldn't say I'm mapping what Raul is doing, but I'm definitely taking heed to the movement now where Ethereum has taken over my number one position in terms of trade. It is a bullish pattern, though, that was witnessed a breakout on September 1st, which led to a 20% upswing that produced a decisive data close above the crucial resistance at 37.16. This was one that had been bumped off of for a couple of times, and it was struggling in that particular case. But right now, if it does move it, if it opens to a resistant free path for Ethereum's price up to 4,071, that's when I think things are going to get very interesting. We are going to jump to a couple of other things. Before we get to the chart, though, which is really going to identify one, our own scorecard on what we've predicted Ethereum would do based on our sentiment and amplification numbers, and then also understand maybe where this is going to go, because there could be a little bit of a retracement here. And we've got another video with one of our analysts that's talking about this utilizing the market cipher tools. So as you guys know, what we do here is we'll utilize sentiment and amplification mostly to really kind of look at our price prediction models, and also money flow, which is huge. And then of course, Market Cipher helps us with all those kind of movements. But before I jump to that chart, I want to just kind of go over here to the ADA price, which of course, we can't really be talking about Ethereum without bringing up Cardano. It hits $3 for the first time, and Ethereum's leads kind of, both these tokens really are kind of going through the Super Bowl cycle mechanism, I think, that really starts to move the markets. And that's what we're watching right now. And I think this is going to be a very interesting position to look at. Here's the breakthrough data that we revealed that you've been waiting for. And that is this chart right here. Now, what happened here was back in July, we measured this period of time that was ramping the sentiment of Ethereum, and it was basically like a viper just coiled, ready to strike, and AMP was starting to move. Sentiment had bumped right here at 59.64. AMP was at where it starts to surpass sentiment, and then the updated AMP on August 9th, 30 days later, had jumped again to 63.71. This was a big indicator for us of where our amplification cone actually tracked. This was our prediction cone when we actually made this prediction right here in July, and our cone was literally just dead on. This was our second prediction cone. We were out a little bit, expecting it to go a little stronger right here, but sentiment has again jumped to 63.02, but the big breakout information right now that we're seeing on Ethereum is this amplification. That is the scenario of what we could see and need for Ethereum to be able to move on up here and break through that $4,000 barrier and maybe on its way back to its all-time high in the next few days. So that is what we're watching very closely. Most likely we will see a bit of a retracement, but the key here is that if Ethereum starts to break through, we're going to see a retracement. And probably towards the latter half of September, that's where we start to see Ethereum make its full run in moving. Hopefully you guys are taking profits as you go. If you're swing trading out there, or maybe you are a long-term holder on ETH because of your entry point, whatever your strategy is, the key here is always, if you're an investor, you've got to look at when do you take profits. I know there's a lot of people in the comments that love to hold. Nothing wrong with that. What I always say is kind of pack your to-go bag of things that need to be traded on and used for taking profits, and then get your bag that is your long-term hold, and kind of separate those two accounts, kind of work from two different strategies, because that is how you're going to succeed in this process. Ethereum is one to watch right now. Of course, we're big proponents of it, fully invested in it, full disclosure. All right, so all of you guys watching and or listening right now, if you're over on Spotify, thanks so much for all the subs. We are now growing to what is one of the fastest growing podcasts on Spotify on the crypto topic and innovative technology. Here on YouTube, you're going to be able to check out all these great charts. So if you are listening over on Spotify, just go over to YouTube right now, type in Paul Barron Network, and you're going to find all of our videos. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure and hit the bell. That's going to give you notifications. If you have an idea for a show and you want to send that to us, you can do that too. Just hit me up on Twitter at Paul Barron. You can also email us, which is producer@reverendnetworks.com. And thank you again for all the great subs. We are close to 100K. Start spreading the word. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.